All right, let me see if this is working. Sorry, my face is what it is because I just woke up from sleep. But I want to see if my microphone is working because I've had issues with my microphone in the past. And um, hold on one second. How do I go to my profile? I don't even know. I'm looking at my tablet for um to see if my oh wow, there are people. Hi people. Okay. Can you hear me? Is working? Okay, yeah, I can hear me. Okay. So I wanted to do a video today about why there are no black geniuses, and my video won't shut off now. Okay, hold on. Um, how do I shut this off? Okay. I want to do a video today about why there are no black geniuses. And I know it's like, why are you saying this? The reason I'm talking about there are no black geniuses is because there are a lot of people who um, don't understand why I do what I do. As I said, I just woke up from sleep. So I woke up and I was like, I have to say this. Um, why I do what I do. Basically, there are I wrote an article um, like a year ago, more than 1 year ago, called "Why There Are No Black Geniuses," and I don't think too many people read it. If they did read it, because it was long, I'm looking at it right now. If they did read it, they probably weren't. Maybe there's like four people that pressed like. I'm not even expecting people to watch this video, to be perfectly honest with you. Um, but anyway, I wanted to talk about why there are no black geniuses. Basically, to build a case for the Igbo-centric scientific paradigm. When I say Igbo-centric scientific paradigm, I mean a scientific paradigm based on Igbo cosmology. I'm trying to build a case to say that we need to study science in Igbo based on Igbo cosmology. And a person might be asking me, why do you even think that is possible? And the fact is, I know it's possible. I have a degree in psychology. I've my personal belief system is that um, you become what you pay attention to. You become what you spend the most of your time thinking about. The way you think can be shaped and changed. There can be people can convince you of certain things depending on what you favor. If you look up the cognitive biases, you will be able to see that people's mind can be changed very easily. Like, you think that your thoughts are your own. You think that the way that you think is just happens, but it doesn't. The way you think is a result of the what people other people want to put into your mind. So, excuse me. So, I highly recommend you look up cognitive biases because this will help you to understand that your thoughts are not your own. The way you think is not your own. Even the fact that I'm speaking English is not like I don't have to have spoke English, but because of where I was raised and how I was raised, even though to speak the level of English that I can speak had to do with the things that I did and the things that I was exposed to when I was a small child. So all these things affect the way you think. And so at the end of the day, I'm making this post about why there are no black geniuses based on an article that I wrote before. And I'm just gonna quickly go through the things that I said in that article that caused no black geniuses, and then I'm gonna add to it. So in that article, I basically wrote this in like early 2018. And what I was saying was that there's a lot of factors that result in there being no black genius. First of all, IQ testing. IQ testing is not what people think it is. IQ testing was developed by Charles Darwin's cousin, who was a man who believed that there was a genetic aspect to intelligence. He actually, because he noticed that the most accomplished families um, tend to be accomplished, but he tend to breed more people who are accomplished. But he didn't take into effect the consideration of sociological issues, which include the fact that in those communities, there's money that's in a certain group of people. And if that group of people has money, they continue to pass the money down to their children, to their cousins, so there's that aspect of being around people who are a certain way and then being raised that way. And then when other people agree to that system as being the best system, then everybody kind of comes together around that, and money continues to be passed around in the same community of people. So that's the way money spreads. That's the way intelligence spreads. And this guy created this IQ test, but the IQ test was really testing the way certain people think. It wasn't testing all of human intelligence. And so this guy actually came up with the first idea of a system called what's it called? It's called eugenics. Eugenics is a science that believes that that you can make a perfect human race by killing people who don't have the qualities of that race, the qualities that you want. So this guy who created IQ testing was actually also believed in uh, basically what's it called? What is that called when you kill off an entire race of people? I don't know. The guy who created IQ testing also believed in what is it called when you kill off a race of people? Something side genocide. So the guy who believed in IQ testing also believed in genocide, basically. Um, and he believed that you should be able to get rid of people or choose the best people based on the way that people reason. So that's what IQ testing is all about. But I'm telling you that people can reason in different ways. IQ testing tests a particular type of reasoning, and it's not bad, Sha, but you have to understand who the gatekeepers are. The people who have the money, the people who have the power, those people are the ones that are testing, and so you have to fall in line with that. Now, the reason I say there are no black geniuses and the creating a case for an Igbo-centric scientific paradigm is because there's a reason, because I have witnessed with my eyes. First of all, let me give you some hard evidence. Look at the list of Nobel Prize winners. The Nobel Prize has been around for, I don't know how many years, almost 100, maybe up to 100 years. I don't know. Let me look it up. All I know is the Nobel Prize has been around for a very long time. And ask yourself, how many black people have won a Nobel Prize for any scientific venture? Because we're always posting everything about, oh, this Nigerian person is in America doing well. They won this award. This particular, African won this award. This black person won this award. But look at the field and sometimes it's even science too. But the Nobel Prize is the highest scientific. People are considered geniuses. Einstein won a Nobel Prize and was considered a genius because of the work he did. But we black people have never, Arch, thank you. We've never won a Nobel Prize. Ask yourself, what is that about? We've won Nobel Prizes. Black people have won Nobel Prizes, but it's always for Peace Prize. Peace Prize is just means that you did something that brought peace. It's very easy for a black person to bring peace. Just tell people that nothing is wrong. Be peaceful. It's very easy, or calm people down according to what, to whatever is going on in the world at that time. So it's very easy for us to win a Nobel Peace Prize, and many Nobel Peace Prizes have been won by black people. In fact, of all the prizes that black people have won, only 2 were not Nobel Peace Prize. Most of black people who've won a Nobel Prize has been a Peace Prize. Just check it, Google it, because I've posted about this thing before. And the only prizes that we won that was not a Nobel Peace Prize were a Nobel Prize for I think economics or something like that. Some very soft sciences, economics, and then like writing or something like nothing hard science. And the reason this is significant is because of my first statement, which is why there are no black geniuses. I'm not saying that black people are not smart. Look at me, I'm black. Why would I say that? Well, there are black people who would say that because they have problems. But me, I'm not saying there are not smart people. I'm saying, first of all, I have to define the word genius. Genius, according to the IQ test that this guy who believes in genocide has created, genius according to a particular standard of thinking. Even black people can excel in that standard of thinking, no problem. But I really believe that in order for a black person to excel in that standard of thinking and get that Nobel Prize in scientific venture, they have to be fully indoctrinated into the ideology of white supremacy, fully. And they not only be indoctrinated on a spiritual and ideological level, but they also have to create something that advances that ideology. First of all, you have to learn English better than Queen Elizabeth. You have to, if you're going to get this Nobel Prize. And then you have to beat other white people, other people that they feel already on a very fundamental level are better than you, which means you have to step on people who look like you. And then on top of that, you have to create something in the ideology of the people that are trying to promote themselves. So you have to pass all these checkpoints before you get to the gatekeeper who will now let you through to that private club. I am not telling you not to get an education. I'm not telling you not to get money. I'm not telling you to stop anything that you would do for the sake of, feeding your family. I'm not even trying to recruit you to anything. Please, I'm not trying to recruit anybody. In fact, I'm only doing this video for my own sake, for me to work out my thoughts on this topic. Because at the end of the day, most of you are going to probably hear this video. In fact, many have come and gone from this video stream. I'm not interested. I don't care. But my big point in doing this video is so that when things start to happen, there is evidence that I said this thing. That's the main reason I post anything on Facebook. Otherwise, I would even shut down my Facebook account very easily. I would shut down my Facebook account very easily just to show you people that I don't give half of a fuck. So at the end of the day, the reason I'm saying all this is that I believe that we should have an Igbo-centric scientific paradigm. What is an Igbo-centric scientific paradigm? An Igbo-centric scientific paradigm is a paradigm based on Igbo cosmology, first and foremost. Igbo cosmology. The Igbo cosmology starts with Eke, Ori, Afo, and Nkwo. It starts with that, first of all. It starts with putting all the concepts about Igbo culture first. So when we start, what do we need to start looking at an Igbo scientific framework? An Igbo scientific framework will have to take into account the agriculture that is specific to Igbo land. There are specific agricultural staples in Igbo land that we do not even start talking about in biology. We have till today. Like, we're still looking at the things that what I don't understand is that the way our people behave is you happily import in new. In fact, I'm not even going to talk about that because that whole topic gives me a headache about why why we go to import Indomie and all this other stuff when we have staple agriculture in our land that we can be creating and exporting to other people and creating new things that have not been seen before and send it to other people. There are things in Nigeria, in Igbo land, that you can't get anywhere else in the world. I've never seen Icheku in America. I've never seen the things that I see when I come to Nigeria. I've never seen many of them. People in America do not know what cashew is. They buy cashew in the store, but they buy the nut in the store. They've never seen the cashew fruit. I'm telling you this. Come to America and tell somebody that cashew is a fruit and that the nut is only the part of the fruit that is at the top. They'll be like, "What?" They won't even believe you. They'll be like, I don't understand." They think that they don't know what cashew actually is. And the only reason that I know what cashew is because when I was a student in Nigeria in 19, I don't even want to tell you how old I am. But when I was a student in secondary school in Nigeria, we had a big cashew tree in front of the school. And so that's the only reason I know what cashew is. But these people in America don't even know what it is. I've never seen Icheku in America. I've never seen Oha except for the dry one that someone imported. I've never seen, there's so many things. And it's not just to import the raw material, the raw Oha, the raw Icheku, the raw, but to take those things and then develop something with them. Orgy, like all these things, not just kola nut, because kola nut, Americans have discovered kola nut. They actually use it in a lot of diet pills and Coca-Cola. They use orgy for different things in manufacturing different foods and stuff like that, and even medicine. But there are other products that are specifically in Nigeria that nobody else in the world can get, and those are the things that we have a special ownership of, and we should be working to develop them. And then on top of that, there's like the science, even the scientific paradigm that we use to explore these things should be unique to us. They should be specific to us, should be about the way we think. And at the end of the day, that is that scientific framework that will be based on Igbo cosmology, based on the way we think, which will boil down to even the way we talk about math, the way we talk about physics, the way we talk about all these things. I'm not saying that it's not good to learn the outside world, but I'm saying that there should be a community of people who have an interest in these things and who are very interested in not even learning Igbo cosmology for the sake of preserving Igbo. I don't even like the word preserving, because preserving is like taking something that's dead and putting it somewhere and freezing it so that future generations can come and look at it in the form that it was in when it died. That's what preserving means. If you understand preserving fish, what do you do when you preserve fish? You take a dead fish and you put it in ice and you put it in the freezer so that it doesn't spoil when it's already dead. But what I'm talking about is growing a community of people, even if it's a small group of people who are passionate about Igbo language and culture, and having those people to continue to build on that foundation. In fact, to me, if you're not interested, if you don't believe in promoting the use of Igbo, I would rather you unfriend me and stop wasting my time. I really would. If everybody on Facebook just unfriended me because they did not believe in the promotion of Igbo language in the sciences, in the arts, in the technological fields, if everybody unfriended me just for that reason, I would be so happy. I wouldn't even care that you unfriended me. I would be like, thank you. Please keep unfriending me based on the fact that you don't love Igbo. Unfriend me. Unfriend me. I'm not looking for friendships. I'm not looking for likes. I'm not looking for hearts. I'm not looking for smiley faces. I want people who love Igbo and would love to see In fact, not even love to see, because those are people who are waiting for the meal and are not ready to cook. I want to see people who are getting their hands dirty for Igbo and are showing off what they've done for Igbo on Facebook. Those are the only things I want to see on my timeline. I don't want to see people posting about Tacha or Big Brother or any of those things. The only thing I ever want to see on my timeline. So please, if you don't care about Igbo, unfriend me, block yourself. Don't waste my time anymore. So anyway, Sha, it's not the only other thing. Only other thing that I'll say, because I know that people have already left. I don't care, but the only other thing that I'll say is that in order for there to be an Igbo scientific framework, there needs to be an active community, because science is based on community. There needs to be an active community of people who are committed to creating based on Igbo cosmology. It doesn't need to be all 40 million Igbos in the world that are committed to this thing. It really only needs to be like a select group of people. It can be, you know, 10 people, it can be 20 people. And those 10 or 20 people who really are like really hardcore about, let's create something using Igbo. Let's create an Igbo framework for thinking about science and art and all these things like that. Let's establish, or let's create using Igbo. Soon as that group of people have come together based on that idea, it doesn't need to be everybody in the world. Thank you, Igwe Royal Destiny. It doesn't need to be everybody in the world that is interested or is committed to that thing. It only really needs a group of people and a place for those people to come together and discuss and create and, do the things that are related to Igbo and science and technology. That's all that's required. Nothing more, nothing less. So, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, that's why I'm not like, I don't get excited about likes and hearts. That's why I speak my mind on Facebook. That's why I will happily curse somebody out on Facebook, because there's no point. There's no point in even having a conversation with somebody who is not interested in Igbo cosmology for that reason. Because me, I am a hardcore, what do you call it? Like, I don't know whether you want to call it a missionary or what. I am hardcore for Igbo, and I really don't care if you are, if you don't like Igbo, or if you don't think it is good for people to learn Igbo. I don't care. Like, just don't talk to me, unfriend me, block me. Like, I'm not really here to get likes or whatever from people. So, but if you are interested, there are people who are just interested to see, but then there are people who actually want to make sure that Igbo is promoted. And those are those are the type of people that I like to see on my timeline. In fact, those people are the ones that actually press follow, so that my timeline will be full of these people's posts on Facebook, because I don't like to see all this other bullshit that people will post on Facebook. To me, it's like, why are we friends? Some people collect friends on Facebook. Me, I'm not interested in collecting friends. I would rather all those people who don't care about Igbo jump off of my friends list. Like, they can jump happily and quickly off of my friends list if they're not interested in Igbo. And I will not feel like I lost anybody. I won't feel like I lost anybody at all. I'll just feel, okay, there are more people. Like, I don't even blink when somebody unfriends me. I don't care. And I'll block somebody so quick for foolishness, because I'm only in this world for one thing. I'm only in this, let me say this a second. I'm only in this world for one thing, and that is the advancement of Igbo in the science and technology fields. There's a lot of reasons that, thank you, Nkwegu, offer. There's a lot of things that people, there's a lot of things that I could be focused on with Igbo. Igbo there's a lot of places where it needs people like there's a lot of places where Igbo needs that support. Me, I've chosen to focus on the mind because that is where my strength lies. I have a degree in psychology, and even though it's an American degree, I understand that it's not about what is taught, it's about how it's taught. It's about the way you think about information. And Igbo has its own way of thinking about information that is so beautiful that it can be that an Igbo person can absorb that information from other cultures very easily. Mana, if you enter into another person's culture, if you grow up in a different culture, a different cultural paradigm like myself, who grew up in American culture, it's hard to absorb Igbo. It would take a lot to absorb Igbo, the other way around. So that's why Igbo is actually superior. And the problem is that many of us, and right now, when the Igbo person leaves Igbo land to go to another culture, they quickly excel because there's something about being exposed to Igbo culture that makes you to quickly excel when you're put into another environment. But the problem is those people who stay in those other environments, within 1 or 2 generations, their children become so washed to be like the other culture that they lose the potency of their Igbo-ness. They just hear me out because I'm in America. I've seen things. I've been in Nigeria back in the day, and I'm also in America too. So I've seen things. And once you leave Igbo land to go to another culture, at first you still have that power. You still have that Igbo power that will take you far in other cultures. And you can do well if you apply yourself, if you focus on really absorbing that culture and doing as much as you can with that Igbo culture, those Igbo values that you have. You can create anything. You can even do it in Igbo land too. But the only problem is the people in Igbo land are thinking so much about what they see. Igbo people are very focused on what they see. So when you go to Igbo land right now, maybe you feel very discouraged. So you don't create as much as you would if you go to another man's culture. And then you kind of have the blueprints around you and then you start building or whatever. But if 1 or 2 generations after that, and your children will then be so much, they've lost, like 1 or 2 generations, and your children have lost, or your grandchildren, whatever, have lost the potency of Igbo. And because they've lost the potency of Igbo, they may do okay, but before you know it, they're lost too. And you need that community, you need that Igbo-ness, you need those foundational values, you need those foundational frameworks, you need the foundation of even the Igbo language, some proximity. You need a certain level of proximity, closeness. Proximity is closeness to Igbo, that for you to have the power of Igbo that will cause you to do well no matter where you are, no matter what culture you're in. Remember, even in Nigeria before the Biafra War, Igbos were on top of their game. It happens and it can happen and it can happen again. But the only problem is it has to be applied in an environment. Even in science, environments matter. Like if you want to create a crystal, if you want to create anything in science, the temperature of whatever the chemical is matters. A chemical that is at 20 degrees is different from the same chemical at 50 degrees. So it matters under what condition the Igbo is in. Scientifically, it matters what conditions the substance is in. And so scientifically, it matters what conditions the Igbo is in for that power of the Igbo to be potent. So you have to I want you to really think about this, what I'm telling you right now. Igbo is a powerful is just powerful. But the proximity to Igbo, the proximity, which is a degree of closeness to that, is the degree of closeness to the power of Igbo. Anyway, I'll leave it here because there's things that I wanted to say, but it's hard for me to articulate it when I know I'm being watched. You know, when I've done my podcast that I'm just talking, rambling, it doesn't bother me. But like, to know that's, this whole Facebook Live thing is not like something that I really do too much, because I feel like when I do Facebook Live, sometimes I pay too much attention to all the things that are happening on the screen and stuff like that. So it's not easy for me to just say my thoughts clearly. But in actuality, the only thing I wanted to say is that my belief is not that there are no smart Black people, but the conditions will affect the substance. The conditions, if you add, okay, so if you're creating a chemical compound, sometimes you can add what is that chemical called? There's a thing, something that activates the chemical in chemistry. There's something that activates it. It's called a I don't know, I can't remember, but you can take two substances, you put it together, and they won't do anything. But then you add this third substance, and you add that substance, God, what is it called? I don't remember. But it now causes the two substances to mix well. It also, like, if you're working with proteins, you can add something, or you can heat up the protein or something like that, and it will denature the protein. Basically, the protein bonds will now unwind the protein, so that the protein is no longer strong. And you can see that also when you're boiling meat. Like, meat is a protein, but the heat, when you boil the meat, because the meat is tough when you first take it off the animal, but then when you boil the meat is protein, and by boiling it, you denature the protein, what they call in chemistry, denature the protein. When we start talking about these reactions in Igbo, which we already do to a degree, but when we start talking about these reactions in Igbo, denaturing a protein, for example, denaturing is not a complicated word. Denature just means to take away its natural way of being. So to denature a protein, which is just to boil that protein until it's no longer its original form. That is not a complicated concept. And we probably talk about that in Igbo in some way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, these are the things that happen when something changes the way it is. Igbo loses its power. Igbo loses its potency under the wrong conditions. Like I said, if you go to another man's culture, 2 or 3 generations from losing proximity to Igbo culture, that your children, the next 2 generations, your child is lost. And as long as you're doing this thing and continue to promote white supremacy, I know people don't like me to use that phrase, but the more you continue to promote white supremacy, and at the same time pushing your children out there, the more you are putting yourself and your culture down. And by the time your children's children are around, they will be the ones that will lose. Your wealth that you have gathered while you were on earth will easily be taken away from you and your children and your descendants. So please understand what I'm saying. Anyway, I want to wrap this up, but thank you for listening to me. There are thoughts that I have, but I don't know how to express them clearly. I may do a podcast that I'm just talking when I'm not on the air, but it's just me trying to flesh out my thoughts. I woke up from sleep and this thought came to my mind. And, based on what I wrote before, why there are no Black geniuses, I wanted to bring it together with why we need an Igbo-centric scientific paradigm, an Igbo-centric scientific framework. And this is what I came up with. So hope you understood what I'm saying. Hope you gel with what I'm saying. Peace. I'm out. Udo. I don't know. Bye.